Welcome to the NFL Draft Big Boards Podcast, scouting tomorrow's fantasy players today. Here are your hosts, Brandon Lejeune and Jason DiRienzo.
Yo, Debbie Junkies. Welcome back to the NFL Draft, the Big Boards Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Lejeune. Going to be doing a solo pod tonight. Mr. Jason DiRienzo is a little bit under the weather this week. So he emailed me or texted me this morning and just said he just wasn't up for it today. So I'm going solo, man. And today's plan was to do a rookie and Devy mailbag for all you subscribers to the NFL Draft, BigBoards.com. You saw my email earlier in the week, and we're going to go over some 2026 rookie questions. We're going to go over some Devy questions. Got about, 3 weeks to the NFL Draft. It's going to be really a lot of fun, really exciting to finally get the draft capital, the landing spots of all of our favorite rookies. Last week, we didn't do a pod, and I'm going to come right out and say it. I'm got a little fatigue. I got rookie fatigue, man. 2026 rookie fatigue. I needed a mental break last week. For you guys who are subscribers to the NFL Draft, BigBoards.com, I've been putting out a lot of emails, doing a lot of scouting, still cutting up all 22 films. But I got to say, man, I am freaking fired up. Really, I'm going to Italy in 2 weeks. I'm going to be there for about 10 to 12 days. And then when we come back, the draft is going to happen, and I'm ready to turn the page. This is usually what happens this time of year as we get closer to the draft. We spent a lot of times trying to give you guys the rookie reports and all that good stuff. And but you know what? I've been grinding a lot of 2029 incoming freshman film on Huddle the last few weeks. So I'm going to be limping here to the final end of the 2026 rookie scouting season. I'm going to update my ranks on the big boards probably in the next week or two. Definitely before I leave, I'll have my finished overall 2026 rookie ranks. And then, of course, when I get back, I will do my post-draft as well. Landing spots matter, right? I've always said that. You guys know that is something that I preach. It really does make a difference, especially when you're deciding between one or two players, right? I mean, that's just sometimes landing spots can sway you, but the draft capital as well. We know the all day 3 picks are 50-50 long shots, man. That's we're going to get our rookie sleepers. We're going to find them in there for sure, right? I mean, they are out there, and that's what my goal is to try and find them. So been updating all that, and I'm just implementing the 2029 freshmen also on the big boards as well. I just started doing my overall Devy ranks, rather. Obviously, the 2026 class is long gone. 2029 class, welcome to the party. Integrating them into my quarterback, running back, wide receiver ranks right now, which is fun, man. It's like, it's like the seasons, man, living up here in the mid-Atlantic, right? You got the spring, you got the summer, you got the fall, and it's what's so nice about Devy, C2C, playing this game is, the seasons, right? So the current rookie season is, coming to an end, and it's like springtime in another month, right? After the April NFL draft and May comes. We start, we're going to do rookie talk. We're going to do some rookie shows after the NFL draft, right? We're going to, of course, we're going to have to update our ranks, and we'll have a couple shows, man. But shortly after that, we're going to be grinding into the different classes, the 2027, 2028, and 2029, doing all sorts of great content on here. Do me a favor, guys, man. If you aren't a subscriber, I never tout my big boards, right? Jason always says to me, dude, you never tell anyone enough about like how to get access. And I was like, well, Christ, if they're listening to this podcast, they must know by now how to get access. But if you want to support us and what we do here, man, it's $30 a year. It's like buying me a case of Miller Lite, man. You just go NFLDraftBigBoards.com, check out. It's basically a website. It's like a landing website. It really isn't interactive. But if it's a great way to support the show, and I'm really going to be focusing in the future, updating my ranks a little bit more often and really grinding the all 22 film. It is like my true passion in scouting. And I'll tell you, there's no better way watching players when you're cutting up 2 or 3 games to really look at every play. So I'm going to be really stuffing my all 22 film libraries of 2027, 2028. Probably not going to really do much on the 2029 class in the near future. We're going to be doing a lot of shows though, man. I'm going to be jumping on my YouTube channel, Sean B., one of my good friends here, part of the NFL Draft, BigBoards.com subscription service. We're going to be doing a ton of rookie shows. We just dropped our 2027 and 2027 running back and wide receivers shows on the YouTube channel. So go check them out. Actually, I might post them while I'm gone to give you guys some 2027. But I think 2027 class is going to be good, man. And there's some questions in here. So maybe I should stop rambling on and get to the subject of the show. So let's do it, man. So the 2026 rookie questions went out on the Slack chat, got some questions. I got sent out email, and I got a lot of questions. I got probably over 40, maybe 45. I'm not going to go through all of them. So I apologize if you're listening to this thinking maybe yours is going to come on the show, but I got a good amount here, and let's go through it, man. Let's start with Matt. He wants to know what with the hype of that was given to the potential 2026 QB class a year ago and the way it then fell off. How do you try to approach prospects in future classes to avoid some of the same kind of risks? So to put it another way, the 2026 class started off is supposed to be strong. A lot of these guys this year, right? They just fell off the radar, Lenore Sellers and Aller and, Carson Beck. I mean, well, not him really, because he kind of took a shit 2 years ago. But yeah, and it's not because they opted out. John Mateer, another one, right? Yeah, they all are going back to school, some of them, but some of them aren't either. But like once the shine goes off these guys, it is tough. So it's a great question because it's like, how do you approach future classes? Now, I just started a Devy startup mock draft with a bunch of guys on the Slack chat. There's a really cool new kind of mock draft software out there that I think the C2C dudes over there, Austin and all that, I think they kind of created this thing, and it's a really good product. So I'm jumping in there, and people are still just dying, man, for the quarterbacks, right? I mean, quarterbacks are just freaking hard. I mean, they just are because, there's only 32 of them that really play in obviously the NFL, and half of them suck as fantasy quarterbacks. So, I mean, we're scouting all these quarterbacks hoping. So how do, I guess, to answer his question, how do you avoid the risk is maybe you just trade for existing, quarterbacks, but they're hard to pry away from existing dynasty owners. And as we've seen, just to his point, Matt's point last year, we thought, oh, it's a great crop. And then, Dante Moore goes back and the shine falls off him a little bit last year. And it's just a rough, tough game when it comes to the quarterbacks in Devy. So, for, the next 2027 class, it's going to be a stocked one. I think it's going to be really deep. I mean, right now we could have 5 or 6 potentially first rounders. All right. Jordan Jackson asked me a question. How much will landing spots affect the values of the 2026 rookies for dynasty leagues, for shallow and both deep leagues? And I guess I'm going to say, as I just kind of mentioned previously, not thinking of this particular question, I think landing spots matter to a certain degree. The guys in the first round, I'm not so sure matters as much because they are the cream of the crop, right? They are the ones with the traits that the NFL love, that, they're going to be given plenty of time to succeed. And there's going to be some duds in this first round, like there are all the time. But I think it really pertains mostly to the second and third rounds, especially third, fourth, and fifth round in our rookie drafts, right? I mean, you're going to take guys that maybe you didn't like on film, but the landing spot is like, okay, well, there's a good chance he might get on the field, or there's like nobody, because most of these running backs, let's say, for example, they're going to be depth running backs. Like there's not going to be many starters out of this class. So I think landing spots matter. And I think that in those, like I said, later rounds, I mean, you're probably going to draft players on good teams with good quarterbacks, right? You have a wide receiver. Are you really going to draft one in the third round that is like on the Browns? But you might get one that goes to, the Raiders or something that has, at least Mendoza there, that, so that kind of thing, that in a good situation. So to answer your question, Jordan, I think that matters, not a huge amount, but it does, I think, for a lot of players. Brett Pettigo says, Tyson, Lemon, Tate, what order is my biggest question? Well, that's a good question, because I think it's a good question. I think it's a big question for a lot of people. For me, it's Tate, Lemon, and Tyson. Carnell Tate has been my wide receiver 1 for months. I just think he's an overall got a good floor, and his ceiling, I think, could be just like Igbuka down in Tampa, even though he kind of, didn't have a great second half of the season last year. But I think Tate is just the safest, and Lemon's explosive slot guy. Tyson, everyone's concerned about these hamstrings. I think it's valid, man. I mean, I don't know. He's just been nursing these hamstrings, and I don't know. Some guys just don't have the muscle fiber to play, regardless of how much they, have the skill level and athleticism to play the game. Some bodies are built for it and some aren't. So we'll have to see what Tyson is. But for me, it's Tate, Lemon, and Tyson. That is what my big boards are updated as of right now. Dante DeLiso, 2027 QB class looks good. How many first round grades? Great question. I kind of just talked about it a little bit. I mean, man, I'll tell you, it's a really good question because there's a lot of them, and I'm pulling up my rookies right now on my Notion. See, this is the nice thing about doing a solo podcast. I can just kind of talk freely and kind of take my time. Not that Jason rushes me or anything, but Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Sam Levitt, Julian Sayin, I think Mensah going to Miami. You know, it seems everyone goes to Miami to rebuild their careers. Trended Chambliss, I don't think is a first rounder. I'm just kind of going down my general 2027 board right now. And I think Arch Manning, yes. Dante Moore. I'm a big Sam Levitt guy. I'm trying to get him. I just love the way that dude plays. I love how tough and physical he is. It's just, I love the way he runs. I think him going with Kiffin over there. They got a nice new wide receiver room as well. Julian Sayin, I think I should probably move to my 2028 board, to be honest with you. He'll be a second year at Ohio State. I could see him staying. You know, Darian Mensah, good size, 6'3", 205, can run around a little bit too. Had a really good season last year. But that's probably it. I don't, but I think there could be some day two guys, Brendan Sorsby and Jaden Mayaba. DJ Lagway. So he's another one that everyone was gaga over that just, that's a painful lesson for some of these players. But I think that's really it. John Mateer, does he sneak into the first round next year? I'm not sure. It's going to be a good class though. Because a lot of these guys, Arch Manning could go to 2028 as well. So, he could take the shine off the class, but right now it looks pretty deep. But, as Matt asked the first question, man, this could freaking change in a heartbeat. We could have half these guys go back to school and some of them just not, do what we are expecting them to do in the 2026 college football season. So good question. Dante Martin has a question. I've seen a lot of people online compare Love to Gibbs, Bijan, Prime, Kamara, among others. What do you think is an accurate comp? Will Love be a top 5 running back? Does a landing spot make or break him? I think this dude is going to be right up there with Gibbs and Bijan. I really do. I think he's going to be a top 5 back next year. I think he's that good. I think he's got the athleticism, his pass catching, the explosiveness. He's got the size and frame you love, so he's going to be durable. And like Prime Kamara, kind of love that comp as well. Kamara, man, I won so many leagues with him and freaking Jimmy Graham and Drew Brees. That was like the trifecta of fantasy many years ago. But I think he's worth every bit of the 101, man. I really do. And I have no shares. I'm very sad, but I am in a startup where I've got the first rookie draft. And I know Luigi out there in his league that I joined, I got a share of Love coming my way because I got the 101. But yeah, I think it's worth the comp. If you can get your hands on Love, trade up and get him. It's going to be hard. If you don't have a shot, it might be actually impossible, but I think he's going to be that good. Tareen Skinner asked me, I'm curious who your second round darling and sleepers are of this 2026 rookie class. All right. So I'm not sure round 2 you're getting darlings and sleepers because, really in round 2, you're supposed to be getting what we hope to be somewhat consistent fantasy options. But 2 guys, I'm going to go wide receiver here. Okay. Because I think Ted Hurst, I'm a big fan of. Me and Jason, we broke down that dude's film. He's got some skill. And Dejon Stribling is a guy that for some reason is just not getting any buzz at all. And just go watch his Georgia game. He tore up that Georgia DB defensive backs. He was getting press coverage, creating space, stacking the receiver. Looked really, really good. Running backs, Taylor from Virginia, I like. I think there's going to be some maybe 2 or 3 sleepers. The tight end position is really just an interesting one this year. I got to be honest with you because it's just as though there's like 10 guys and we don't know really which one is going to make it and which one isn't. It's just they all seem to have some skill. I think it's a deep class, but is it Sam Roush or is it Michael Trigg or like who is it going to be? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, darlings and sleepers, we're going to be doing, I got 2 more weeks before I do go to Italy. And I think we're going to have like our sleepers and we're going to do like a sleeper show. And you guys will get all of those kind of picks before we go into your rookie drafts. I hope you guys have not gotten your rookie drafts. I hope if you're in a league right now where you're doing rookie drafts before the NFL draft and your commissioner says, oh man, you know what? We're going to base it on talent and all that. No, man. That is like, you want the landing spots. So go reach out to your commish there if you are doing rookie drafts, man, before the draft. That is just I am just not a fan of that. How does this class, also from Torini, yes, will differ from how does this class differ from the class we felt was very weak in 2022 and that has yielded some value? I guess I don't really remember exactly who was in the 2022 class. I'm going to pull it up right here. So, like wide receivers, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jahan Dotson. What a bust he was. He just came to Philly. And Treylon Burks, a first-round pick. Yikes. Christian Watson, Wan'Dale Robinson in round 2. It's a I think that's very comparable from a wide receiver standpoint. I think we're going to get at least 5 or 6 starters. So I think it compares pretty good. And, maybe that class we were going into 2022 with thinking that it wasn't a great class. Maybe that is what he's talking about. And it could easily happen. Let's look at the running backs: Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, James Cook. Man, Tyron Davis-Price, he was picked in the 3rd round by the 49ers. Man, no first rounders in 2022. We had Hall, Walker, Cook in round 2. Rashad White, round 3. I was never a fan of his either. He just ran so upright. I know he's a good pass catcher. And then there isn't anyone else to talk about. Tyler Algier, round 5 pick. I hope he does well in the Cardinals, man. I traded for like 3 shares of Tyler Algier last year, knowing he was an unrestricted free agent. I don't like the landing spot. But in any case, I think this class will yield some value, Tareen. And I think we're going to get some quality players out of it. I don't think it's going to be just completely dead. Quarterback position, yes, but the other 3 skill positions, I think we're going to do pretty well. So David Valentine, first and second down grinder types, receiving backs that can or cannot handle 15 plus carries. So what is this question here? Maybe I'm not reading this. Can you look through the fantasy dynasty lens and decipher between running backs and the categories? Okay. First or second down grinder types. So he's asking me about my scouting, right? So how do I decipher when I watch a running back if he's a first or second round grinder or receiving backs that are smaller that cannot handle 15 plus carries in a spot start, right? I think it's pretty clear when you watch film who's a first and second down grinder and the receiving backs. I think the NFL right now, they like their bigger backs, but I think there's just a real tendency right now to go with the 200-pound guys who are physical. You're trying to find the lighter foot, smaller guys that have the physicality to withstand, the pounding that it takes to play in the NFL. These offensive linemen are getting bigger and stronger, opening up gaps. The defenses are getting smaller and quicker. So it's leading to a lot more running the ball. But first and second round grinders are the ones that typically can't get the ball, in their hands and do much with it. They're the guys that don't have the elusiveness. So I'm looking for the elusiveness, the running of the receiving backs that have the elusiveness to create space. And some guys are easy to see when you watch film, and some are not. That's a kind of a tough question to ask, or to answer. But I just I try and find guys that can create space and have the physicality to be able to get a good forward lean, play behind their pads, and then you just worry about the guys that are too small and light. There's a couple of those guys that people are excited about in this class that I just don't see, like Claiborne from Wake Forest, right? Damon Claiborne is just, I think he's speedy and he's fast, but I'm not sure he's got the physicality to really carry the 15 carries, that it takes to be a bell cow. But like Katron Allen now might be a first and second round grinder, a guy who's going to get 10 carries. So you're looking for a combination of both. And like Jamari Taylor from Virginia, to me, is a guy who, has a smaller frame, a little quick, but he's also stout and a little smaller too. So, but it's going to be, all these guys are going to be committee backs this year in this class. All right, Magical Barry, why isn't Mekhi Lemon the clear wide receiver 1 despite being the clear winner from a metric aspect? So good question. There's a lot of guys that I know, and I believe Jason is one of them, that has Mekhi Lemon as his clear wide receiver 1. I think it is just a matter of opinion right now. Mekhi Lemon, but I don't think we have to trip over if who the clear one is, because I think the top 3, I feel more confident with Tate and Lemon that they're both wide receiver 1 and 1A, right? So if you're in a position that you need to draft one of these guys, that's just going to be coming down to a personal preference, as well as that landing spot. Mekhi Lemon goes to the Rams, and Tate goes to the Browns or something. I mean, I might even take freaking Lemon over Carnell Tate. I'm not sure given the thing, but so if you like Lemon as your clear one from your scouting, and the metric aspect and analytics, I think it's really tough to go just on production, right? That's why I'm not an analytics guy, because I really feel that it's not a even playing field amongst players, right? When you talk about a guy who plays for a lesser team, lesser competition, and has better stats than a guy that plays in the SEC, and you're saying, well, his stats are better, his metrics are better, so he's got to be better. Well, I don't know, if that player was playing in the SEC, would he have the same numbers? So that's where like the metrics and the numbers are kind of sometimes, a little skewy for me, because I just feel as though that it's not a level now. If it was a level playing field and everybody had the same set of rules, same quarterback, same offensive line, same depth chart, same coaching, same scheme, sure, I'm all about it. I'm being like, yep, same thing. But how can you compare metrics to one player to the other in comparison to everybody else when everyone's in a different environment? So that's where I kind of lean towards the tape. I look for movement skills. I look for guys that have, like I said, the physicality, and they be able to create space, footwork, and try and see if they got good IQ, how they run the ball, and how they go out and make themselves available for their quarterback. So let's see what else is here. Why does Elijah Surratt consistently get snubbed in wide receiver ranks, even with the fantastic film and consistently being in the top half of his key metrics? All right, this is Magical Barry again. So again, he's looking at metrics, probably production. I don't know what his metrics are compared to everyone else off the top of my head. But again, I think if you were to look at Elijah Surratt's game at the end of last season, he was really struggling at the catch point. And I think it's pretty easy when you watch Surratt's film that he's a good route runner, but he is not an elite space creator. And so I think he gets snubbed because people are watching the film, they're looking at his movement skills and his athleticism, and he really did not come up well in the physicality at the catch point in those final two playoff games. He wasn't creating the space, and then doing a lot of stop routes, curl routes. His route tree is not really elaborate, and so I think that's probably why he's getting snubbed. But if you like a guy like Elijah Surratt, man, you take your guy. I've always preached that, and I still believe that all the time. My ranks, there's ranks all over the place, right? And, those are tools for you as a fantasy owner when you are in your dynasty rookie drafts to use as a guide. But when it comes down to it, when you have to look at the screen and hit that enter button, I say this all the time, it's you, dude. You know what I mean? It's like, don't take someone because I told you to, I mean, sure. I mean, if there's a consensus of people and, you don't watch the film, and that's probably if you're a subscriber because you're taking my opinion on what I see on the film, cutting up the films for you. I certainly appreciate that. Although I'm not sure I want the pressure of your fantasy team on my shoulders. I'm joking, of course, but you always take your guy, man. I'm going to do it in my drafts. And if I miss, like I was a Martinez guy last year. And, I got egg all over my face on that one. I'll be the first to say, but I'd like to go in with conviction, because in the end, whether I win or lose, I want it to be my decisions and not take a player because someone else thought it, but you didn't like him and you took him because someone else did. And then he sucks. You got no one to blame but yourself. All right. So Garen Whitley, I'm torn between Boston and Omar Cooper Jr. I suppose landing spots will break the tie for me, but now it's a tough decision. Boston doesn't seem to have amazing hands. Well, man, Boston doesn't seem to have amazing hands. He made some amazing catches this year, man. The guy can go up above the rim. And again, this is where we're going to find ourselves in our rookie drafts. Okay. I've done a couple rookie versus rookie shows on the YouTube channel, and I decided to stop them because I'm going to do them post-draft and landing spot. Right, because I think it's going to be more interesting, to do a who should you draft before having that all important data doesn't make any sense. So I was like, I'm not going to spend all these times making these videos. But Boston and Omar Cooper Jr., I did a Boston and I think KC Concepcion, kind of, these are all, wide receiver 4s and 5s, right? I mean, Omar Cooper's been a big riser going into the into the draft cycle here, right? And I think those playoff games kind of showed everybody he's probably one of the more physical wide receivers in this class. I mean, the guy, I cut up his film, his third game of the year or something like that, and put it on the YouTube channel, and I was like impressed. I mean, his yak ability in this certain game, it took like 10 guys to get him to the field. These are two different kind of players, right? Omar Cooper, last year in 2024 season, he played out wide, but this year he was put in. Sorry, I had to get a tissue. He was put in the slot, right? And so he was really good, showing his vertical prowess back in 24. But now he's a slot player, and Boston's a boundary guy, right? So I don't know. I think I go with the players that have more versatility. I think Omar Cooper can win in and out, so I would probably lean towards him. But it is a tough decision, man. But that's what we're faced with all the time. So. You just got to go with your gut and go for it, man. All right. Charlie Evans has a question. Of the tight ends, Michael Trigg, Max Clare, Oscar Delp, Joe Royer, and Justin Jolly, who has the highest ceiling and who has the highest floor? Great question. So we got Michael Trigg, Max Clare, Oscar Delp, Joe Royer, Justin Jolly. Well, I got out of all of those tight ends, I have Max Clare. I still am a big fan of his 2024 Purdue film. He was explosive, goes to Ohio State last year. Really just never had any monster games, but he was certainly turning it on towards the end of the year. I think for the highest ceiling, I'm going to go with Michael Trigg. He's going to be more of a move tight end. And I think that the NFL, just the way they're running offenses now with two tight end sets and stuff, and like I said, offensive linemen are getting bigger and stronger. I'm not sure the move tight end is I think Joe Royer and Justin Jolly offer not as much athleticism running the ball. They might have a better floor. But Oscar Delp, I'm a fan of. I mean, he's a sleeper of mine on my YouTube channel. I just put out a sleeper show a couple weeks ago. And Oscar Delp, I mean, again, somebody whose metrics are going to suck, who never got the ball. But I really fault just the offensive play caller. I forget his name, the OC over there, Bobo or whatever his name is in Georgia. Just after Brock Bowers left, just never threw the damn ball to this guy. But he tested well at his pro day. But I'm going to say Trigg has the highest ceiling, highest floor. I'm going to go with Max Clare. But again, it's going to be fun because I think any one of these guys could pop. So that is, what I really think, to be honest with you. I think that any of these tight ends, we just don't know as much as we think we know. We really, really don't know which one. And that goes for, even the experts, I think, are going to have a tough time. Yeah, the first top 2 or 3, yeah, they're going to probably project. But after that, I think a lot is going to depend on landing spots and, where they find themselves with the opportunity. The tight end position by far is one of the hardest positions. I remember listening to a full interview, and I forget the dude's name, but he played at Duke. He was a Duke tight end that came out, I don't know, it was probably 7-8 years ago. Never became a dynasty asset, but I remember listening to him talk, and he was being interviewed, and he said the tight end position is by far the hardest because you have to learn how to, run as a wide receiver and understand defensive coverages, and how linebackers and safeties, and is it cover 1, cover 2, cover 3. But if you play on the line, you got to understand the gap assignments and what the center is calling out plays and how you have to adjust. So it's like you're really learning 2 positions. That's why we find tight ends take a year or 2 to really get on the field, because I think there's a big learning experience. I mean, even if you look at Colston Loveland, right? The first half of the season, he really probably was learning how to play, learning, the offense, and then he started getting more comfortable. So it takes some time for these guys. But enough about tight ends. I know they need love too, but I'm probably rambling on too much about tight ends. But all right, so those were the questions that I got for my 2026 rookies. All right, so we got some Debbie questions, and I'm really excited about some of these. Okay, so Frank, part of our Big Boards, go check out. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Forgive me, Frank, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Panthro, go search him on YouTube. He's got a new website or a YouTube channel out there doing some really fun podcasting and stuff with a buddy of his. So his question is, once Smith gets drafted next year, is there a true 101 in the 2026 freshman class who could hold that spot as long as he did? I believe there is. All right. So draft, there's Smith gets drafted. So I guess his question is there going to be a true 101 in the 2026 freshman class who can hold that spot as long as he did? All right. So I think he's asking who in this year's incoming class, right, could be so if we're gonna go wide receiver, okay, he's got, Keys is the number one guy on 24/7 going to Tennessee. Chris Henry Jr., all right, is going to Ohio State, I believe. Yes, he is. And I think those are the two top liners. So let's go with, I'm assuming he's talking about one or two of these players. I've scouted both of these guys. I'm a big Keys fan. I'm a Henry fan too. I mean, these guys are really, really close. I think Keys has just a little bit more explosiveness to his game, being a little smaller. I love the Henry height, but Keys, I think, is an explosive. And, again, we don't want to scout the helmet only because he's going to Tennessee. We're going to scout him. And, I think there's a chance he gets on the field this year. But I don't know. I mean, this is freshman fever, man. Frank, you got freshman fever, brother. All right. So I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know how good either of these players are going to be. Chris Henry might not even get an opportunity to showcase his skills this year, given the fact that Smith is still here, although there's always been solid talent at Ohio State. I don't know. I'm going to have to say, yeah, I think maybe one of these guys come in. If Keys comes in and just blows up and is all of a sudden the guy at, mid-season in the 2026 season, he's like, blowing up. Yeah, well, I mean, there could be. But I think there's a lot of good receivers in next year's draft, but I guess you're talking about when next year's class is gone. So we're 2026 freshman class. Yeah, I think I got that right, Frank. All right. Rylan G has a question. All right. This is a good one. KTC, keep, trade, or cut the draft classes 2026, 2027, and 2028. So, he's asking me which classes. It's hard to project 2028 right now. It really, really is. And, I'm going to go back to my Notion big board here, and I'm going to go to my quarterbacks. We got CJ Carr as my top 2028 quarterback right now. And you got JKS from California, Drew Mestamaker, Bryce Underwood, Camario Taylor, Malik Washington, guys that have flashed. I think it's just too early to tell. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to have to cut the 2028 class. Let's just take a look at the running backs real quick. Who do we got? Bo Jackson, Jordan Davis, and De'Aaron Hill. That's pretty weak. There's no studs there. Bo Jackson is a stud. Quarterbacks. Let's see what we did. Quarterbacks, wide receivers. We got DeCarrion Moore, Malachi Toney, Dallas Wilson. He flashed Florida last year. I got Tanook Hines fourth in the class. I love that dude from USC. He's going to be one of my guys through this process coming up. I'm going to say I'm going to keep the 2026 or 2027 class. As you can tell, guys, I have not predetermined this. I'm thinking out loud as I look at this. I'm going to keep the 2027 class, all right? Because I'm going to go with the Jeremiah Smith. I'm going to go with Arch Manning, hopefully. I'm going to trade the 2028 class because people are so down on the 2026 class. I can't trade them because everyone's going to be like, no. I don't want any part of that trade. But the 2028, everyone's always thinking it's better down the road. That's what we do in Debbie, man. We always think everyone's going to be Debbie assets. Sorry, I'm taking a drink of water. You can see I'm a little bit more casual here with just being me. 2027, I'm trading 2028 because there'll be hype out there for that. And I'm going to cut the 2026 class. All right. So he had another question, Rylan G. How much does neck and ankle girth factor into your scouting process? 60% or 100%. Now, this is a kind of a joke on our Slack chat. We have a certain member out there that believes in necks and ankle girths and, waist sizes and ass sizes as far as, determining, how big their necks are. He can determine whether they're going to be successful or not. I'm going to say it's more 60%. I'm going to say it's probably a lot to do with maybe what's more inside the head than the neck and the ankle girth. factor into your process. But Rylan G, I want to really thank you for sending that mailbag question in. That was really good. All right. Dante DeLiso has a Devy question for me. 2027 wide receiver class, the one everyone is raving about, overrated, he puts in caps. Besides Jeremiah Smith, all the other wide receivers have a wart or two, in my opinion. Do I agree? All right, let me go to my trusty Notion board, to my 2027 board. All right, Jeremiah Smith, yes. Nick Marsh going to Indiana. Nick Marsh had a down year at Michigan State last year. His quarterback just, took a shit, and he just had a bad season. I think he has a rebound year. Cam Coleman, I know he is a high Devy asset right now. I do agree. I'm wondering just how twitchy and much of a space creator he is versus a vertical, above the rim type player. Brian Wesco plays in the slot, really undersized at 6'2". Yeah, I mean, there are warts, Dante. I'm not going to lie. I mean, but I'm not sure it's overrated. I think people are kind of excited about it. I think it could be very similar to 2026 if Marsh, Coleman, Wesco, Ryan Williams from Alabama. I have a Marion Miller next, who transferred to Arizona State. I mean, these guys could all take a big leap of faith. I mean, is it overrated as of right now? I don't know. I know everyone's out there saying like, get rid of your 2026 picks. You got to go to 2027. I mean, it feels like the 2027 class overall is going to be deeper because of really the quarterback class. I think the running back class is we don't have a headliner for the 2027 running back class. I mean, I got Jaden Ball, Justice Haynes, Keywan Lacey, Ahmad Hardy, Isaac Brown. I mean, all those guys could be the RB1 next year based on a good season and injury or whatever. But going back to the question of the 2027 wide receivers, I'm not going to say it's overrated right now because I'm not the one touting it that it is great. I think maybe people are just saying the 2027 class is better just because everyone's so down on the 2026 class. But thank you for that question, Dante. Jarrett Swink emailed me back and said, I drafted Camario Taylor in all of my Devy leagues. What are your expectations this upcoming season? All right. So just so everyone knows, if you're not familiar, Camario Taylor plays for Mississippi State, 6'4", 230-pound, quarterback last year, really, played as a true freshman. Okay. So, which was great. 629 yards, 5 TDs, 1 interception. My expectation is he takes the next step in development as a passer. Okay. We all know he's got the rushing ability. I mean, towards the end of the season, man, the last 4 games, he just went on a tear rushing the ball, 458 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that's great. But we've been burned on these quarterbacks that are super athletic, that can run around, that struggle in the passing game. They don't make it to be dynasty assets. They just don't. I like Camario Taylor. I have a couple shares in my Devy league, and let's hope he's one of these Devy quarterbacks that take the next step, right? I mean, impressive with the ball, good size. He's fast. He's physical, but he struggled as a passer. I mean, that's no doubt about it. 5 touchdowns. He only played, the last 3 or 4 games, but we got a little glimpse. But he was a raw freshman rookie. So my expectations is just take the next step. I'm not looking for, he's going to play 4 years. His first year, he got on the field, got a little taste, got a little experience. You use that experience that you got, and in the off season, you just go through that in your mind, watch the film, and get better. So my expectations is he takes a better step, and just want to see him not take the Lenoris Sellers path of, depending on your athleticism to win football games. You got to pass the ball. All right. Lewis Frank asked me, give me 2 players, Brandon and Jason, that I should draft in rounds 4 or later in my upcoming Devy startup draft. All right. So it's interesting because I just had mentioned earlier in the pod that I think the C2C crew came up with a new mock draft website. It's pretty cool. And we are currently in round 6. All right. So, and I'll tell you who I selected in that. Sabian Hyder, I had the 11th spot, just to give you some fun to think about. All right. And then I got on the turn with the 202, I took Sam Levitt, went all the way back, came all the way back on round 3. I took Isaac Brown. All right. And then right around the corner, it came back to me. Julian Sain goes off the board. Darian Mensah goes off the board. I take CJ Carr. I'm a big CJ Carr fan. I think he really had a first solid season at Notre Dame. So that's 4 rounds. My next 2 guys that I took Deshaun Rideau. He is a USC running back, incoming freshman who I really liked his tape. Good physical player. He's explosive, can catch the ball out of the backfield. I took Tanook Hines in the 6th round. So Tanook Hines is a long way to answer your question, Lewis. And a guy that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. My deep dive player, another player that I'm going to be taking in this draft, if it doesn't get taken before me, is Jackson Harris. All right, he's a wide receiver who's transferring from Hawaii to LSU, and really watching his film, man, and really like what I see with him running the ball. So those would be 2 of my players. I got, we're going to be doing a lot of Devy content, Lewis, on this podcast shortly after the draft, man. We're going to be going into all sorts of sleepers and all that stuff. Yeah, we're going to have some fun with that. I'm really looking forward to, cutting up these guys, all 22 films, and really starting to study this. Jackson Harris, so we'll get into more of him in a little bit. Bill Ewing asked me, I want to incorporate a Devy aspect into one of my dynasty leagues. I'm really starting to enjoy Devy. How do I do that? I think this is a great question, and I wanted to include this one in the pod because I think it's just really important. It's a great question because to grow the game, to get more people into it, my advice to you, Bill, would be to, if you have a dynasty league, and it's so easy to add a Devy component, right? Not really so much for the website to draft the player, but to implement it into your league. I would do a shallow Devy where you maybe draft 1 or 2 Devy players a year, and you put them on your taxi squad and do that, because those are kind of some of my favorite Devy leagues. I'm not I'm in a total of 5 leagues total. Redraft, C2C. Well, no, 6. I added another one this year. I went from like 12 down to 4, and then I think joined 2 more. And because I just love the startup drafts. They're just a lot of fun. But you can incorporate any dynasty league into a Devy aspect by simply just having a separate draft, drafting your Devy players, and then putting them on your taxi squads. Either you keep it on a Google Doc or something like that. So at least you've got those future assets, right? That's what's so much freaking fun about playing the Devy aspect, is you got guys already on your bench. So I respect the question, Bill. And, if you got any real questions on how to do that, simply reach out to me, man. I'd be more than happy to help you get all set up and do that. All right. Brian Kruper asked me, obviously we know that Tony, he's talking about the wide receiver from Miami, is a white hot Devy pick right now. He absolutely is. Because if I go back to my mock draft, Sean B, the guy I do YouTube channels with, YouTube shows with, he's also ranking the incoming freshman, took Malachi Tony with the 2nd selection. So he is white hot. You are absolutely right. He is white hot. So his question is, what is a fair assessment of his running mate, Joshua Moore? All right. So Joshua Moore, I don't know much about. So the question is really, what is Joshua Moore? He was a freshman last year, 6'4", 17 receptions, 210 yards. It doesn't look like, from my research, that he is a starter. He was a true freshman last year. So at least he got on the field, had some, productive games. But 17 receptions, it's hard to really get a look at him. But if you've got him, Brian, like on your taxi squad, or he's a Devy asset for you, man, just hold tight, because you just don't know. There really isn't. They looks like they've got some, other, guys that are coming in, some transfers and stuff like that. But he is a lot of older players. So he's one of the younger players, actually. Same class as Malachi Tony. So all the other guys, redshirt juniors and seniors. So just hold tight. I have not watched him, but I wanted to at least answer your question. And I think maybe you had another one here. You said, where do you think Charlie Becker belongs in Devy drafts? Round 4, and he's still not drafted, was my thought process, because in that draft that I am doing right now, he still hasn't been selected. And we're going into round 7. So, Charlie Becker, I like it. I'm surprised if he makes it back to me. Is he going here? Well, let me see. Maybe I'm wrong. No, he's still out there. No, maybe he's not. No, I want to make sure I get this right. Charlie Becker, I'm sorry. He was just taken in the round 7. All right. So he's the 7th round pick in a startup. So I think that's fair. I think he could go earlier. I'm a big Charlie Becker fan, man. I would take him earlier than the 7th round, to be honest with you. If I was like doing this again and in a draft, I think Charlie Becker really go watch his Penn State game from last year, man. The dude balled out. He was great. Loved him. So, I don't think he's going to go before round 4. So I would say maybe 4, 5, and later is to answer your question. All right. Jacob Freely, Hyder or Crowell with the 101 in C2C supplemental drafts. All right. So Hyder and Crowell are the 2 incoming freshmen for you guys don't know. Okay. So Hyder is going to Michigan and Crowell is going to Bama. Right. So these are the 2, top guys. So Crowell's going to Bama, Hyder's going to Michigan, 2 good programs, and they look really good. And to answer your question, which one to take? Right now, I've got Hyder a little more than Crowell. They are both explosive players. Hyder for my scouting right now, I just have just a little higher than Crowell, but man, they're the 1A and 1B. And so again, Alabama just, has great opportunity there. And Jordan Marshall is the guy right now in Michigan, but there's no reason why Hyder can't come in and start snipping at that dude's heels on getting playing time. Alabama has not produced a good, solid running back really for quite some time. Not that that's a reason that you wouldn't take Crowell, but I think it's a 1A and 1B, man. Good question. I'd like that. And he has the same thing. Keys or Henry Jr. in the wide receiver. Which one you want first? And I don't know. I said before, I'm going to go with Keys only because I think I like his frame better and he's going to be more explosive. So, and to keep talking about Hyder and Crowell, Rob Lincoln asked me, going back to my dashboard here, he said, how does Hyder and Crowell fit into your top overall Devy running back ranks? Are they in your top 5? As he's asking me the question. So I'm going to go to my Notion dashboard. I'm going to go to my running back ranks for 2029. All right. And I got them. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to my overall. Sorry here. I was just tweaking out, looking at something. I got distracted here for a second. So my overall running back ranks. All right. In Devy, I got Bo Jackson, number 1. I still have Jaden Ball and Justice Haynes, 2 and 3, and then Crowell and Hyder. So they're all in the top 5. Now I know there's probably some guys that are like Crowell, Hyder. I can't do that, man. I really like Bo Jackson. He had a great year at Ohio State. Jaden Ball is a stud. I mean, he looks like Judkins to me and that kind of player. I think he's going to get that kind of draft capital. And Justice Haynes, not thrilled he went to Georgia Tech. But in any case, explosive player to it. Until these 2 guys get on the field, man, the freshman fever I've learned over the years, let me make this be a point, is you go back and look at past classes of 24/7 running backs and just go back and think about year after year, just how excited you were about these players, and just, they don't hit, they don't work out, even though they look great and they're supposed to be the next best thing. Now these 2 might actually hit and be studs. But there's just no way I'm not taking like Jaden Ball first when I've seen him play for 2 years and looks like an NFL running back. I just can't go with the freshman fever. But they're top 5 guys, man. That's where it is. Okay. So who are the players you will be targeting in your upcoming C2C supplemental drafts rounds 2 and 3? This is from Mike Wilcox. So his question is, what players will you be targeting in your upcoming C2C supplemental drafts rounds 2 and 3? So he's making the assumption, right, that round 1 is gone. So for top 12 players in the class are going to be gone. So I'm going to talk about a couple players that might go at the end of round 1. Javian Osborne, running back from Notre Dame. I was laying in bed 2 weekends ago, just watching huddle film, writing notes. I love the Google feature of the voice recording, so I can like stop the huddle film and then just talk to my spreadsheet and it pops it in there, which is really nice. Javian Osborne popped to me. I mean, he could arguably be a first rounder, maybe late, but he's a player that I really like. I'm a big fan of Samorian Wingo from Miami. I think he would definitely be a second rounder as well. Davian Gross from Florida too has impressed me with his film. Caden Dixon-Wyatt, a wide receiver, I really, really like. I mean, he could arguably, be a first rounder as well. I mean, and one thing I've learned about Devy C2C supplemental drafts, man, there is just the top 5 are very chalky. And after that, it can be the wild, wild west, which I love. I actually like it. I try really, really hard not to go down the 24/7 list when I'm drafting players. Like I said, go back and look at all the past history and do that one day. Go take a half hour, go back in 2027 or 247 Sports and go back and look at the classes and just look at all the guys at the top that didn't hit, but like the 7th guy and the 9th guy in the class, they hit. So there are diamonds to be down there. So, maybe after the top 2 running backs, the top 2, your wide receivers, don't be so chalky just going down the list. Now, if you haven't scouted anybody and you don't really know who to take, well, then okay. But if you're like me, who likes to really do some research before that, and I'll be watching the film on all these guys. The C2C supplemental drafts are always in July. So, I mean, I got all, spring and early summer to, before I'm going to have to make any decisions on these players. And I would suggest also, just as another recommendation, if you're doing supplemental drafts in your C2C leagues, like right now before spring ball and, summer practices and stuff like that, why rush it? Right. I mean, same with rookie drafts, like all these drafts that like, even after like the NFL draft, people do their rookie draft like the day after. And it's like, oh my God, all my rookie drafts, I do everything in the summer. All the leagues I commission, like I want to enjoy the process. I want to like see how things develop. I want to, so I don't know. That's just another, I'm sorry to go off the tangent on that. I feel really strongly about that. Is just, I know people are excited and they just want to get the rookie drafts over. But then it's like, you got nothing to look forward to, man. You got all summer to like have like 5 between, my 6 leagues. Let's say I'm going to have, 3, supplemental drafts and 3 rookie drafts and some little minor Devy drafts. And they're all in late July, early August, as we're getting closer to the season to create that excitement. So I don't know, just my thought process. So those are my Devy questions as well. So let's get to our deep dive player.
It's time to go deep.
So I'm going to talk about Jackson Harris. Okay. He is a Hawaiian wide receiver. He was a true sophomore last year. I believe he was a true sophomore. 6'3", 205 pounds, 49 receptions, 963 yards, 12 TDs, averaging almost 20 yards on average. All right, man. This guy, for 6'3", 205, he's got some freaking wheels, man. He is transferring to LSU. He's going to be part of that LSU starting wide receiver group with Chase Brown from Kansas State is over there as well. It's got somebody else, I believe, who transferred over there who is going to make some noise as well. But man, Jackson Harris, I really liked his tape. He's not the most quickest and biggest space creator, but man, he shows really good technique. I like the way he really gives an effort, but I was really impressed with his high point ability to go up and get the ball, strong hands, good tracking. I'd like to see him extend for the ball a little bit more. But man, this dude after 2 years has the base skills and traits that I think NFL teams are going to like. And again, the speed is the icing on the cake. There were plays on his film. You go to YouTube. I watched every highlight film I could. Started watching some of his all 22. I'm going to have actually, in my Google Drive before I leave for my trip. But Jackson Harris, man, I think he's going to the SEC, and I love players who go to the SEC and show out and play well. And like, I am like really excited about, Harris and his ability, at least what I've seen on the field, to go to LSU and make some noise. So there we have it, man. That is the pod for today. And Jason, I hope you are feeling better, my good friend. It really sucks being sick. I get it. Jason and I will be back next week. I think we're going to maybe do some top 10 stuff, or maybe give you our final ranks. I think we're going to be done with rookie reports for the season. I've been doing a lot of that stuff solo on the YouTube channel because we were kind of finding ourselves being a little repetitive on here, going through the same format for some of these guys. But it's going to be fun, man. Enjoy the anticipation of the NFL draft. It's always a good time. And I'm going to take off, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to the NFL Draft Big Boards podcast. Remember, in Dynasty, there is no off season.